Hey movers, we've got a 40-minute-ish yoga flow on deck for y'all today. I would say this might be best for someone who has a little bit of experience with yoga or has some experience with movement. We're not going from raw beginner. That being said, raw beginners, try it out. You never know. It might feel great. You can always just skip things that aren't going to work for you. I do try to offer options and levels, but you're always welcome to just sit and watch, see what you think about, maybe try it next time. A little warning, the video had a little bit of technical difficulties. So right as we're going into Shavasana, or the nap at the end, the video cuts. So luckily it was kind of right there. It was the last thing we were doing. So I added a little bit of space at the end to give you some time to rest, and then we'll come back and say bye-bye. We're gonna go ahead and come right onto hands and knees. I do recommend padding for your knees, even if you're like, I don't need it. I didn't need it when I was 25 either. I regret some of those choices. So I'm gonna take padding now. I've got my kneecaps underneath my hip bones and my hands underneath my shoulder blades. First, I'm just gonna take a couple rounds of cat and cow. So I want the belly nice and tight, push up, inhale and arch your back. And then a couple rounds here. The idea is breathe and move your body. It's kind of the simplest form of some styles of yoga. Breathe and move your body in time with that breath. All right, come back into neutral. I'm going to start by going to my right, so I start facing you folks, humans, beings, people, cats, dogs, chickens. I'm going to shift my weight onto my right knee, my right hand. And if your wrists are grump, you're going to come up onto your fingertips. If your knees are more of a situation, I'm going to shift the weight a lot more into my shoulder. I'm pretty light on my knee. I'm really just using my leg for balance. And then reach up with the other arm. And then take that top arm up over your ear. Big crescent side bend. I'm going to take the other side, which is going to make me turn away from you, beautiful humans, peoples, cats, dogs, chickens. I'll come back. Switch sides. Again, I'm on my left hand, left shin. I can boop, fingertips, or I can shift a ton of weight into my arm. Big reach up. Big reach to the side. Oh, I don't know if the camera picked up that shoulder pop, but it was exciting. And then I'm going to come into a downward facing dog here. So because of the way I ended up, I'm kind of stretching back into my right leg more. Boop. So my feet are staggered, so I want to fix that. Nice strong belly. You might want to start by bending your knees. Get a little buoyant. Tone your belly, lift your hips, shift back. And then let's take the feet forward, or your feet forward to your hands, and forward fold at the top of the space. Now, a lot of times people think touch your toes. I can touch my toes. But sometimes it's better if we bend the knees. That's going to help if the hammies are tight or if the hips are grouch. Bend your knees. You can separate your feet as much as you want or wish. Inhale, lift your chest. So I've got my hands down. My hammies are feeling all right. But you may want to put your hands up on your shins or your thighs. I'm thinking a strong belly, flat back. And bow. Come up, reach up, stretch up. Whee! And then slide down to your center. Inhale, stretch. And exhale, fold. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, step your right leg back. Drop your right knee. Body up, arms up. Low lunge. Big breath. Now turn your palms to face the ceiling and your elbows point out to the side. You can keep your hips up or sit it more forward. Big drag across the ceiling with your fingernails. Elbows bend down. And then inhale, reach up. Exhale, drag. Inhale up. Exhale, drag. Inhale up. Last one, exhale, drag. Inhale up, reach. Sit a little deeper if that's okay. You can also take your hands down, brace on your hip and thigh. That's a bit more grounding. If your back knee is done being on the ground, you can go ahead and elevate it. We're going to do that next round, or we're going to shift back for a half splits. So real quick, if you need to go ahead and go there, boop, we're going to do that next time. Scissor your inner thighs. Take your left hip back in space. Lift your chest and bow. Bow. Woof. I've gotten real southern today. Maybe you noticed. Come forward, back to your hands and your knees. And from hands and knees, we're going to take a knee plank. You need some more space than just your hands and knees. So I'm actually going to walk it forward so I still got my padding. Belly's nicely toned. And then we're going to pretend like we're going to do a knee down push-up, but we're going to go all the way down to the belly. I've got my blanket here. It's in a little bit of a funny place, so I'm kind of going to slow motion break stance backwards till it's under my hips because that feels better. Fingertips wide, elbows up. Roll your, oof, do that. Elbows up, fingertips wide, drop your head. And then roll your shoulders. And then from there, curl up. One day I'm going to get a microphone strong enough to pick up the Rice Krispie sounds. Come back down. Bring your hands closer. And then press back for a child's pose. Look forward at your fingernails. Come on up. Down doggo. I'm going to step my right foot forward. You might need to drop your left knee down to do that. Or you might just swing and a lift and step it forward. Either way, we're going to end up with the back knee down and come up for that low lunge. Again, I can sit into it or I'm backed off, right? You might want to play with it. In this case, it's a little bit different for everybody. A lot of times, like, this is considered the up level or the harder one. For some people, this is easier for a myriad of reasons. So just kind of see what works for you. Inhale up and exhale, big drag. Inhale up. So I'm bending my elbows out to the side. My palms face up. I'm like making a big circle. Inhale up. Exhale, big circle. Inhale up. Last one. And then again, if you need to ditch knee down, go ahead. Pop it up, cool. Or we'll stay low. Scissor your inner thighs, so that means squeeze them together. And then take your right hip backwards in space. This time I'm going to shift it back forward, lighten up on the knee, and step, boop, forward fold. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, bow. Reach up, stretch up. And exhale to center. We're going to go in again. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, this time step back with the left leg. Boop. You can repeat what we did before. Knee down or back knee up this time. A little bit more balancey. Yeah? Sit low in your legs. Whoop. Speaking of balancey, shift your weight forward so that your knee stacks over your ankle and try to straighten up this back leg. Been doing a lot of skating. That's easier said than done. My quad is like, what? What do you mean? This time I'm going to take a side bend. So I'm going to brace on my right thigh, left arm up, and tilt. I can do that with the back knee down as well. Come back to center. And then hands to hips, straighten your front leg, tone the belly, tilt forward. So for this one, I am on the ball of the back foot. If that feels precarious, you can absolutely spin it down. That's kind of more of a classic form anyway. But for me here, I like the strength in the foot, the strength in the ankle that I'm getting. Forward fold out over that front leg. I'm gonna step back to knee plank. So a couple of different ways you can do that. Bring the knee down to start. Or I'm gonna shift the weight forward and I'm gonna step back into plank and then bring the knees down. Either way, it's a bit different from hands and knees. I'm more shifted forward. Like you're gonna do a push-up, we're gonna go all the way down. Again, I'm gonna break dance backwards so that I'm on my blankie. You don't have to. Fingertips are like a little spider, boop, boop, the funky spider. Elbows up. When I take my elbows up, my shoulders immediately hunch in towards my ears, so I want to go away. Lift up. And back down. Hands by your ribs. Press back, child's pose. Look forward at your fingernails. Come up, down dog. Left foot forward in your favorite way. So knee down, step, boop. Or swing, away, and step. This time again, I have the choice to bring the knees down again if that's working better. Or ball the back foot for lunge. Very balancy. So you can see I keep grabbing the wall. Again, I want a strong bend in my front knee. Trying to get down there, and I can tell my back leg is not straight. I'm trying, I really am. Sit low, reach high. And then side bend, so left hand to left thigh. And tilt. Back up to center, hands to hips, straighten your leg. Lift your chest. Right now, my hips are pointing fairly well forward. I want to try to keep that as I bow. What will happen a lot is you'll skew, particularly if you take that back foot down for balance, which you totally can, but just know that makes your hips skew off. So I want to come back to center. Scissor your inner thighs. So it's squeezed together, but it's also that action of together this way and together that way, right? So it's bringing everything to center. Rebend your front knee a lot, step it up, separate your feet as much as you'd like. Forward fold. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, fold. Reach for the sky, come all the way up. And back to center. Awesome stuff. We're gonna do a little cross body marching, slow motion for balance. So this is fantastic for your brain. It's fantastic for your balance, right? As I just said, balance. But it's also great for your joints. It's nice, light movement, greasing the wheels, greasing the joints. So I'm just gonna shift my weight to my left. My left arm's gonna go up. My right knee's gonna go up. And then switch. And then switch. So I really wanna stop. So it is like marching, but I'm stopping so I'm not, right? I want to find that balance. Boop. Balance, boop. And doing these crossways movements, this is getting the two hemispheres of your brain to have a little combo. Yeah, and then we can be a little jazzercise with it, ow, if you want. And then we'll come back to center. If you're like, well, that was dumb, don't do it. Remember, the whole point is finding joy. Inhale, stretch up, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift your chest. Let's step back to a plank. I'm gonna move my blankie. Okay. Step back, plank pose. So body like a plank of wood. Feel your strength. I can definitely take my knees down. Or I'm gonna move forward off the toes and my elbows are gonna go back. And I'm gonna go all the way down to the ground that way. It's not a push-up. It's a different thing that starts like a push-up. This time, keep your hands close and curl your chest up for a cobra. If you're familiar with yoga, you've been doing yoga for a while, and you know how to do those more challenging things where we do the hovering plank, we call chaturanga, into the big back bend, we call upward facing dog, you totally can. Lift your chest. And then come back forehead to ground. You've got two main options if you haven't done that harder thing I was just talking about. One option is to press back to child's pose like we've been doing. Or I'm going to press into plank from the ground. Now I'm going to use my knees to do that just because I'm healing for some injuries and I don't want to push it. I want to heal so I can do things again. But I've got strong feet, strong toes, as if I was going to press to plank without my knees. Strong belly, and then press to knees. Then knees up, and then down dog. Step your right foot forward in your favorite way. And then just come up to standing for a second so you can get your feet situated. So, situated is a word from the southern part of our country that means situated. Anyway, the back foot, the pinky toe edge of the back foot is parallel with the back edge of the mat, and the front toes are pointed straight forward. I'm going to track my knee over my toes. So if you're familiar, this is warrior 2. We're going to do a little bit different with the top of the body though. Leg stay in warrior 2. I'm not going to go straight to y'all, and I'm not going to go straight to the front of the mat. I'm going to go to the corner of my mat. So I'm going to hinge at the hips and walk my hands out to the corner on a diagonal. We call this down dog lunge. In some yoga schools, it's also called head to ankle prep. Now I'm going to shift over the back leg, and I'm going to do the exact same pose over the back leg. So I'm just changing legs, pivoting my feet. Down dog lunge. I thought the first side was bad. It's exciting. And then come back to center. Here's where I'm going to grab my blankie again, because I want that padding for my knee. Back knee down. And then I may elect to, my hands are in the inside of my front foot now. I may elect to stay here. Listen to your joints. Listen to your knees, your hips. Just kind of check in. And when I say listen, if you feel a sharp twang, a painful feeling, back off. Small pains don't go away. They turn to big pains. Okay? So stay up on your hands, or you can walk it down onto your forearms. If you have props at your disposal, yes, you can absolutely use them to keep yourself farther away from the floor. Stay there if you're loving it. Come back up. I'm going to take my left hand kind of wide and my right hand to my right leg, and I'm going to twist. So that means I'm going to turn away from y'all for a second. That's a great place to stay, or I could reach back and catch my foot. Hamstring cramp. Big breath. If you've got your foot, let it go like it's not an emergency. And remember our pyramid pose. This time, we are going to turn the back foot down flat. That is going to make you more stable, but it's going to make it harder to scissor the thighs and take your sacrum flat to the floor. Your sacrum is that little triangle bone at the base of your spine. We want that flat if we can. Now I'm going to take a variation on down dog. I'm going to take my right ankle to the top of my left thigh. So I've got this figure 4 shape. Stay there, or come down and rest. Or I'm going to shift my weight to my left hand and my left foot and put my right foot down in front of me for balance. Come back around, come back, down dog. And then left foot forward. So again, I'm going to come up into warrior 2 legs to start. I'm not going to turn around, just so that when we do the second half of the sequence, I'll be facing you that time. So you'll get both ways. We've got strong warrior 2 legs, but I'm going to hinge at the hip and come into this down dog lunge. And then I'm going to walk it over the opposite leg. And I'm going to walk it back around to the front of my mat. I'm to the inside of my front foot. Again, I might lighten up onto my finger pads or the ridge tops of your hands, like, you know, the balls of your feet. We don't call them the balls of your hands, but that's kind of what they are. Ridge tops of your hands. Or you can come down onto some sort of support structure or your elbows. Come back, do-do-do, or you're welcome to stay there. Or right hand wide, left hand to left side twist. Stay there, or catch your toes. That can be a lot in a lot of places. I'm fairly flexy in the hips and quads, so I have a tendency to kind of dunk forward. So if that's you too, tone your belly, scissor your inner thighs, and back off a little bit. And then unwind. We're going to take figure 4 in down dog with an option of taking it into a side plank strength builder. So I'm going to take my left ankle to the front of my right thigh. I might stay there, I might choose to rest, or I'm going to place this left foot down, spin onto the pinky toe edge of my back foot, side plank with support. You also, should have said this on the first side, forgot to remind, you also have this one from the beginning. Yeah. Come back, down dog. Step your feet wide and walk your hands back to your feet. We're going to come down into a squat. In my video, the anti-desk chair maneuver, I talk a lot about squat. I'll drop that link in the box as well, so you can go check that out. Just coming into full equal weight on all 4 corners of your feet if you can, and lift your chest if you can. Relax your jaw, relax your neck, relax your face. Fingertips down, hips up, toes forward, forward fold. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, fold. Reach for the sky. Come all the way up and come through to your center. Okay. And then step to the center of your mat and step your feet wide. So we're going to start with wide angle forward fold. We have an option to stay there. We have an option to do what we've done before, which is go into that down dog lunge shape. So that's the warrior 2 leg shape. Or we have an option to exaggerate that further. So nice wide stance, toes point straight ahead, maybe a little bend in the knees, but legs are strong. Tone your belly and fold forward. If you can, relax your neck here, relax your face. Stay there or shift the feet and walk it into that down dog lunge to the right, just like we've already done, already practiced, or a little bit of a different foot placement. My foot is going to go at an angle. My front foot's gonna go at an angle, and my back foot's gonna go at an angle. And then I'm gonna shift down into a squat over that right leg and come up on the left heel. I have my arm down and I am using it. You might be able to balance, right? I can tell I'm pitched forward. Come on, back up and switch. Again, if you're doing the down dog lunge, you would just switch down dog lunge, down dog lunge. You could also still be in the wide angle forward fold. Come back and switch. Come back and switch. We're going to switch fairly quickly. If for any reason that's not a good idea, skip it, please. Switch, 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 switch. Whee! Make sure you end up on the opposite side from where you started. Come back into a wide angle forward fold if you left. Ha. And then turn both toes out. Come up to standing, reach up. And then from here, we're going to take one of my very favorite poses. We've got a horse stance, like a wide squat with a little shoulder shimmy, shoulder twisting. So my toes are out for this one. It's not the same thing as like a classic squat. My toes are out. My knees are going over my middle toes. I'm coming down if I can, parallel to the floor with my thighs. And then I'm doing a little shimmy, and then probably need to back off some of that depth to drop one shoulder in and twist one shoulder out. Back to center, shoulder in, shoulder out. Back to center, shoulder in, shoulder out. Last one, center, shoulder in, shoulder out. Back to center, stand up. And then bring your feet back together in your favorite way. And then we're gonna march it on out. Jazzercise, go. It's great. I know you love it. I'm kidding. Shake it out. Awesome sauce. Okay, we're gonna come down now to the belly. So, if you want some more of those strength builders, take a plank and then go through your chaturanga to the ground. Or you could just be like, oh, I can lay down now. Okay. That's usually me. Come up onto your forearms. Pound down into your forearms and drag your chest through and up. I want to try and feel this more behind my shoulder blades and less in the mid to low back. Your lumbar spine bends that way naturally, most of us. So we want to try to countermand that a little bit. If I'm giving it a little something, right? Elbows down and back. And I really feel a nice bend behind the shoulder blades. You could stay there, or this is going to be a little bit easier for some of you and harder for others. So earlier, if we were reaching back for the foot, we were crossing the midline of the body. So going like right hand to left foot. This is right hand to right foot, which some of you will find much easier and some of you will find much harder. It's just going to be different. So there's a big fancy yoga pose that has a big shoulder turn and a really big quad stretch, and I can't quite do it. But really, I'm just bringing my foot in and trying to lift my chest up. Really just countermanding a lot of the sitting we're doing, opening the front of the body. Let it go, come back to your chest lifted position, and then switch sides. When I reach back, you can see I kind of pull myself out of the shape to get a hold of my foot. I over-exaggerated at that time. To get a hold of my foot. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but my hip bone is like 6 inches off the floor right now. So I gotta get it back down there. So I'm gonna turn back to center and re-engage with the floor. Lift your chest. And then for me, once I get my hand in place and then turn my elbow up, that feels a lot better. It's still a really sticky, intense pose for me. So you might just literally be pulling on your foot. That's totally fine. If you do have that overhand foot tug placement, work to keep your chest lifted. It's a lot harder. Let it go. Make a pillow with your hands and turn your head to one side. Bend up your knees and windshield wiper your feet like you're talking on the telephone in a 50s romantic comedy. La, 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 la. Come back to center, readjust, switch which way you're looking, boop, and again. And then stretch it back in to child's pose with your toes tucked under if you can. Come on up, down dog. From your down dog, inhale, reach your right leg high, and exhale, step your right shin forward. We're gonna come into pigeon pose. Real quick, if for any reason that doesn't work, then go ahead and lay on down and take reclining figure four, okay? When you come into pigeon, if you can, square your hips to the floor. If you've done a lot of yoga, you may have heard teachers say to try and get your shin bone parallel to the front of the mat and flex your foot. No shade, but they're wrong. Don't do that. I'm just kidding. There's different ways of yoga, forms of yoga. I would say most people's bodies won't really do that shape safely. So take that with a grain of salt. Take that information for what you will. I'm going to curl my foot in nice and tight and have my toenails down. Just works better for me. And then we'll just fold, come down to the forearms. We've got one more quad stretch, front of the body opener if you want it. Totally can just stay here and be more chill, it's fine. Or I'm kind of going to do a little bit of a combo of the two quad stretches we've already done. I'm going to root into my left forearm, and I'm going to reach back and catch my left toes with my right hand. So again, this is crossways. I've got my pigeon shape with my quad stretch. Unwind. I'm going to go back for down dog. You're welcome. If you're laying down, you know, just switch sides. Or you could also just sort of break dance. I've got my hoops over here. I don't want to break dance too roughly. Over to the second side. Or come back to dog. And then set up for your pigeon. I'm going to stay upright for a wee bit and just kind of play with it. There is nothing inherently wrong with working for that shape I was talking about earlier. It's just that it doesn't work for a lot of people, and it comes from some confusion between a couple of similar poses. Something that took me about, 10, 12 years to learn in yoga was just because something was true in one pose doesn't mean it's true in other poses, right? I mean, back bends and forward folds would be good examples because they're two extremes. Yeah. But having the right angle in the leg is good for certain hip opening poses and not for others. So, there you go. And then fold if you'd like. and then stay there. Or I'm going to take the forearm down. My right forearm's down. I'm going to twist and catch. Let that go. I'm going to take one more down dog. You could be like, no! Down doggo. And then we'll come down. Oof, this sticky mat is great for some things. And I just like totally stuck into it. Okay. We'll come down. I'm just shifting forward. You don't have to do that part. Come down onto your back. Plant your feet. Let your knees windshield wiper. Feel like, hi. There's those things. I still didn't make it far enough forward, did I? No. I'm an inchworm. Plant your feet. Knees bent up to the sky. And just windshield wiper. And then I'm gonna lay all the way on my side. Okay, so I'm gonna take one arm out. If this feels weird in your neck, if it feels like it's pinching in your shoulder or anything like that, you could use a blanket like a pillow. Okay, so I'm laying all the way to my side and I'm hugging my knees in kind of tight. And then I've got one hand on top of the other. And I'm just gonna open backwards. So because I'm going from this shape, my knees are down. Some of you might be able to bring your hand, your arm, or even all the way up to your shoulder, all the way back down to the floor, and have these knees down. That is not me. What I want here is I want a nice shoulder opener. So if you're pretty flexy and you just totally unwound all the way there, you can take this top leg and wrap it around its buddy, and then I'll give you a little bit more. And then come back through center. I gotta readjust because I'm dealing with my pillow and my mat and everything. So again, I want to roll all the way, all the way to my side. So like I'm having a little nap time. And then I've got my right arm out, left arm's on top. I'm keeping my legs down, but I'm gonna open back up towards y'all. And then usually after a second, my fingers will come down. That's about it though. Usually my arm hovers. If this does not feel good, that's much less intense. But I want that big stretch because my shoulders are very grouchy. And again, if you're pretty open and need more, you can cross that top leg over. And see, I don't know if you can see, but that actually lifted me away from the floor more. So that would give you a bit more space. Come back to center. My favorite thing about the practice of yoga is that there's a nap at the end. Here we are. We made it to the end. Thanks so much. Congratulations, you made it. You moved today, moving for yourself, finding joy in your body. Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please like, subscribe, share, hit that little notification bell, and remember, diet culture is a tool of the patriarchy.